be honest. I mean, anybody that's coming against the Lions right now is we're the measuring stick. You know what I'm saying? Like the coach figuring out if they can play with us. You know what I'm saying? It's not no so much like we can play with them. We know we can play with them. You know what I mean? It's just now every team that we face is the question is can we stay with the Lions? You know what I'm saying? I don't see a drop off this week. I mean, we ain't gonna score 40, right? We ain't gonna score 40 or 50 against
Man
this
said,
team, right?
right?
But
I mean, we've become the measuring stick now.
yeah,
We've become the feather in their hat. Like if the Colts 5-6 right now, if they go out there,
yeah,
they get to 6-6 and they beat us, they're gonna be the talk of the town. Like it's gotten to a point where we've become a lot of these teams Super Bowl.
yeah,
Like we 6-6, but we beat Detroit. Then then it's gonna become okay, everybody. The blueprint out there to beat Detroit is out there now. When it could have been just they made a couple more plays than we made. Didn't
yeah,
even have to be they did anything outlandish that just made us look bad.
yeah.
But yeah, I man, if we yeah, we can go ahead and get to the injury report real quick. I'll take care of the Colts and you can cover the Detroit Lions injuries real quick.
Yeah,
You can go
for
ahead.
sure. For sure. Terran Arnold is listed as questionable. I haven't heard anything. I think he was limited practice. I fully expect him to play tomorrow. Um, Ennis Rakestraw is out with an injury, and then you have Emmanuel Mosley questionable. That's a good sign, man. It's encouraging. Me and you think maybe he's not going to play tomorrow. You know, you might hold him out an extra, 4 days to be playing on Thanksgiving. So, that we're relatively healthy. I mean, Broderick Martin is back in the fold now. It seems like, you know what I'm saying. So I think the Lions are actually in a good play. It was a question about Laporta, but Laporta's not on the injury report, so you figure Laporta's going to play. I mean, he's not listed as not playing, so he's been the only guy this year. When you look at injury, obviously with Hutchinson and Derek Barnes, out in Davenport missing the season. I heard some good encouraging things about Jalen Reeves-Maybin could be back after Thanksgiving for the
Yeah.
playoff push. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Walt, the reality is we know we lost some guys, but Anzalone, that was a big blow. I wasn't with you on the show last week. You talk about Anzalone. I think
Yeah, I want to get your opinions on all this stuff right here
yeah,
because we didn't get a chance to say much earlier in the week.
yeah. Anzalone. I mean, I think it's a big loss, man. I do. I think Anzalone like an extra extension of the coaching staff on the field. Anzalone's been great, man. We Jack can do the job, and you know how I feel about Jack. I think you high on Jack Campbell. I think that we can do it. I'm glad you got David Long up here as well, which he could really fill a void here, man. I don't know, maybe you maybe a little bit closer to what went on. I don't understand why David Long was even cut. I mean, maybe he's a problem in the locker room, the coaching staff. This guy's a good player, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he long in the tooth and he don't have it anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't get
Right.
the reason why he was let go or just like kind of just on a scrap heap. It's crazy. You know what I mean? He's a good piece. You know what I'm saying? That a rotational guy, perfect for what we need. I can't believe that we signed this guy. I mean, I couldn't tell you that this week because
Yeah.
whatever. But you know what I'm saying? So I didn't hear what you had to say. Maybe, yeah, you touched, I'm pretty sure you touched on it a little bit, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like this team with the injury bug. Listen, remember last year, Walt, we talked about injuries, and we didn't really have none, right? We didn't really go through injuries as much last year, and it happens, man. Every team in the NFL has to deal with injuries at some point. Um, and this is the year that we kind of had to muddle through it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's encouraging to see Broderick Martin. You know that's one of the guys I've been really high on since we drafted him. Um, Broderick Martin can be a force. He will be a force with this team. I think he's a guy for me. If I was buying stock on players on our team, I would buy stock into Broderick Martin. I really would, man. You know what I'm saying? Look, big physical kid, and he's got even stronger this year. I think that was this. This is like Trent. I think he's added more muscle. I mean, you can see he's more leaner than he was when we drafted him. I just like everything about this guy. But as far as the injuries go, I think Anzalone will be a loss for the meantime, but we will get him back. You know what I'm saying, for the playoffs, so it's not as bad. And I think that we did good by stacking some wins. So it's not like, oh man, if we don't have Anzalone, we can't win this game. You know what I'm saying? Well, we can win games without him, but I think he makes the unit that much more, intact if he's out there. So
Definitely, definitely. Nobody envisioned Anzalone would have the impact that he's had on this team when they decided to bring him back. And that's just the loyalty that they really show to their players. And I understand as fans from the outside looking in, we see what we see on Sundays, or at least we think we see what we see on Sundays, and we believe that tells the entire story.
yeah,
These guys spend all week with these players. They spent the whole summer with them in some cases. They've been around Anzalone. Some of these coaches and whatnot probably, and they seem like the type of football guys where they probably text with each other, text with the players all throughout the games and throughout the season and weeks. And so it's not just interacting with them on a daily basis at the facilities, but they know him better than anybody knows him. They know all of these players better than anybody knows any of them. And
yeah,
you factor in Derek Barnes. It seems like the Derek Barnes injury was like 3 years ago, man. I know it
yeah,
wasn't that long ago, but it seems
hmm,
like, because we've been winning ever since, still, ever since Barnes went out. But it's I do want to get back to David Long though, because we didn't get the opportunity this
yeah,
week to really sit down and break it down with the listeners in regards to who David Long really is. Now, getting back to what happened in Miami, man, I have no idea.
hmm,
I did read an article, or at least from a writer down in Florida. I think it was the Miami Herald, and they did say, well, they alluded to something in regards to not Josh McDaniels, but Mike McDaniels' comments about benching veterans, that he had to prove a point that nobody's above the team or whatnot, whatever it was, because before they decided to waive David Long, they had already benched him. And got to a point where he wasn't even playing on defense. They benched him to special teams. So I don't know what happened. I would,
hmm,
I'm kind of, I find it hard to believe that a guy who had the best season of his career in 2023
yeah,
turned around and didn't show enough within 9 games of this season for him to
yeah,
keep his job.
yeah.
It
It's
doesn't
weird.
make sense. I don't know if he had any issues between him and the organization, if they were bumping heads on any level. We don't know what went on in the locker room, but those were the comments that Mike
Yeah,
McDaniels felt that he had to let veterans know that nobody was above the team. So there was
mhm,
something going on with him. But for those who don't know who David Long is, 6-year vet out of the University of West Virginia, was a 6th-round pick of the Tennessee Titans back in 2019, I believe.
yep,
Um, He's a guy who was pretty much a made man. He's a classic Lion player. He's a guy who
exactly.
started out on special teams, wasn't even playing defense early his first year. Dude started out on special teams, worked his way into the rotation on defense,
Yep,
and by year 2, he became the starting Mike in Tennessee and was a team captain. You don't see too many guys go from being a walk-on.
yes,
Basically, that's the NFL equivalent of being a walk-on, being a guy who started out drafted late. You don't have a position on the team. They just got you out there on special teams. Figure it out. And he eventually found his way into the starting lineup at the middle linebacker spot for
yeah,
the Tennessee Titans.
yeah,
And you look at what went on in Tennessee, he had 4 seasons there, 50 games, 230 total tackles, 15 tackles for loss. He had no sacks, but that's not what he is as a middle
yeah,
linebacker. 2 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions. You look at that, 14 passes defense from a middle linebacker.
yeah.
I would say at 5'11", 225, because I've seen enough of David Long. Think
Me too.
Zach Thomas, London Fletcher, Stephen Tulloch,
Yep,
just not with the same mass and girth as those guys. Those guys were 240, 245, 250 and could run to get out there and cover. But
yeah,
even at 225, I think David Long's ability to take on guards, hold his ground, disengage, and make plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage is unrivaled. For a guy who's 225 pounds, he brings a pop. And he's also elite in pass coverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's also, who was the dude for, even though Will McDonald for
Oh, for
the New York
for
Jets,
Jets from
he's a
Iowa
pure,
State.
yeah, he's a
Yeah.
pure pass rusher. David Long isn't a pure pass rusher, but if you look at the way both of those guys being undersized, playing in the front seven of their defenses can make plays,
Yeah.
they both know how to use leverage, and they both know how to use a guard's momentum against them. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell everybody today exactly what I said back on Wednesday. I'm all with it. I'm
Yeah.
all for it. I understand exactly what David Long brings to the team.
Yeah.
And like I told everybody on the Detroit Lions News podcast on Wednesday night, he's a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if 2025 season he's still on the team. I don't think this is just some fly by night signing, a guy that's going to be gone soon as the season is over with. I think he's a guy that's going to be on this team next year because Anzalone coming back, it's just a forearm injury. He'll be fine. But
Yeah.
we have a question mark in Derek Barnes. We got question mark in Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Jalen Reeves-Maybin isn't really an every down linebacker. This guy is. And
Yeah.
he can contribute on special teams. He's a classic Detroit Lion player. And like I said, I like it.
Yep. And man, good, great work by you putting that graphic up because that told the story. That is a perfect Brad Holmes guy. Look at this. This 5'11", 225, 6 year. He's like Malcolm Rodriguez. That's how I compared him to. You know what I'm saying? Like, far as what I'm getting at is the size. You know what I mean? Not so much he's a veteran, but the size and the weight. Same kind of body type. This guy is a good player. Just doesn't make any sense how a guy like this is just like just on the scrap heap, man. No problem. Like you said, we'll take him. You know what I'm saying? We'll take him. And we in our coaching staff has shown the ability to be able to coach guys like this and turn them into like world beaters. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this is a perfect guy to get. You know what I mean? It's almost like I don't want to say maybe it's just like remember I've been complaining about the draft picks. Maybe this is like our third round draft pick or fourth that we don't have. You know what I'm saying, Walt? And you get a guy like this and bring him into your organization already, like you said, into for next year, because everything Brad Holmes done is calculated. You know what I'm saying? And he's maybe thinking, like you said, like we got some guys that may not be back or whatever the case may be. Build your team. Brad Holmes said from the start, the minute he took this job, he says, I'm always trying to improve this team every day. You know what I'm saying? And I really do, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Because people say, oh, well, you didn't make this trade last year. You didn't get Montez Sweat, blah, blah, blah. And come to find out, he did the right thing. You know what I'm saying? By like
I'm
staying
glad
in
you
pat.
just said that. I was going to touch
You know,
on that too. I think that
right.
they're in a situation where we was bitching and complaining, not us in general,
Mm-hmm.
but as a fan base, a lot of us were up in arms after the Hutchinson injury. People couldn't wait to run to social media and Brad better do this and Brad better do that. And you better get on the phone and call Cleveland for Garrett. And we want Crosby. We don't care what it costs. And at the end of the day, a month later, what happened? We ended up with Zadarius Smith, a guy that provides instant pass rush and is an elite run defender and is a big classic defensive end who
Mm-hmm.
can play with his hand in his dirt, or you can stand him up
It'd
at
be a
5 or 6
problem.
tech.
Yeah.
There's no tight end that's going to handle Zadarius Smith. And then you look at the fact that they went out this past Wednesday and they signed David Long Jr.
Yeah.
They lose their Mike, and then they bring in a veteran guy who's a little bit undersized. But
Yeah.
I think if you look at what he brings, it's a little different from Anzalone. You can make the argument, and I know Lions fans probably don't want to hear this. If you look at David Long's skill set,
Mm-hmm.
David Long may be a more explosive, more versatile player than Anzalone.
Yeah.
Now, not saying he's better
No,
overall, but he
of
may
course
be
not.
better overall. But I'm a big David Long fan, man. I
Me
always
too.
have. You
Me
and I
too.
talked about this when he was a free agent leaving Tennessee a
Mm-hmm.
couple years ago. We both
Yep.
felt that Detroit should have had him on their list. Now, I don't know if they did or not.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, seeing what he did in Tennessee, I've always been a big fan of David Long. And I like players that work themselves up from nothing to something. And he's one of those guys.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like I said, it just doesn't make any sense, man. Yeah, thanks everybody for the shout outs to Jeremy, Ralphie, my guy, Brent, everybody, man. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Walt. I was at David. I couldn't believe that we got. I thought it was a misprint. You know how you look at you scroll on your phone and you see like weird stuff that's not true, fake news, stuff like that. And so I had to kind of go into it, and then I went to the lions.com and see we got them. And then like you said, I was having technical difficulties, so I couldn't do the show with you, and I was kind of pissed about that. But I'm like, man, this is the perfect guy. Think about it, Walt. We went from 3 weeks ago, think about it, to I'm sorry, in the last 3 weeks we've acquired a Zadarius Smith, we've acquired David Long Jr., possibly getting Broderick Martin back, possibly getting we
Emmanuel
hope
Mosley.
Manuel Mosley and Malafon. I mean, our team's better. We're better than we were a month ago. This team's better, even though we've lost some guys. And then you factor in a more confident Jack Campbell, a more confident Terry Arnold moving forward, man. And Carlton Davis, who's been tremendous in my opinion. I just think, man, this team is the best team in the NFL right now, and I think they're proving it. I think the last 2 weeks proved it. So, and I've never said that this season. I've been reserved to even say this team was the best team in the NFL because I'm smart enough to know that I'm just looking at it through Lions color glasses, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
mean,
now,
we are, but we still fair. I think
yeah,
that's something that we pride ourselves in, and our listeners do. Everybody will tell you that we're fair. We're not overly hard on a team or on the team. We're not overly easy on them. We're right there in the middle, and we try to be
yeah,
as unbiased about them as we can. We don't mind being wrong. We've been wrong about things, draft picks, and what we felt they should do, but we fair. You know what I'm saying? And we honest about all of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And just what my marker said, about Anzalone. I'm excited. I'm glad that he's not out for the season, man. When I seen, I was like, no, man, we cannot have Anzalone out. I agree. I mean, Alex Anzalone is quietly one of our best players, in my opinion. I really do believe that of him. You know what I'm saying? Just from where he's come from, to uh listen, I think that this team just think we're going to get him back for the playoff run. You know what I'm saying? Remember when we was thinking that Ragnall's injury was going to uh, really linger, and it probably has, but you ain't heard nothing with Frank being hurt. You know what I'm saying? We haven't heard anything about it. It shows you like how laser focused these guys are, and Frank's been praying through injury for 2 or 3 years, and at the end of this season, maybe, the Lions might want to beef up that part of that side of the ball. I think the offensive line is what has really been taking it personal. I thought the last week, Walt, people were saying that, after the Houston game that, the offensive line hasn't been playing up to, they wasn't bullying people around, and maybe they were starting to lose their edge a little bit. And then
People
last week,
just need something to talk about.
yeah, them boys came out and dominated, man. It was phenomenal, tremendous, man,
Yeah.
tremendous. So, and then I do want to talk about Melifonwu because that's one of my top guys. You too,
It's
you know what I'm saying?
irritating, man.
Yeah, and then
It's
just to
irritating,
hear it
dog.
say, I can't, I don't know what the hell's going on, man, with Melifonwu. You know what I'm saying?
Him and his brother,
Obviously,
man. Him and
yeah,
his older brother was just like that.
yeah,
Super athletic, super fragile.
yeah,
And I don't want to insult the dude like that, but like, damn, man, like it get to a point where it's like, come on, every
yeah,
single season.
yeah.
But some guys are like that. Some players will never give you a 16, 17 game season. That's just how it goes. But it's so frustrating because when Melifonwu's out there, man, it's like having another hybrid of Branch and Joseph out there that I think makes our defense even more dangerous. But back to what you were saying with as far as his setback.
No, I was just saying, Walt, that I was just frustrated because I want to see him on the field. That's all for selfish reasons. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him play with these guys. Because I think you put him and Brian Branch like your headhunters out there, and then man, it just seemed
You
like
got a
it would
six
just be
foot
on.
two,
It,
210-pound version of a hybrid of Joseph and Branch.
yeah,
Like that's what
yep,
you got out
right
there.
on steroids, right? No, on steroid, not he on steroids, but just a bigger frame. You know what I'm saying? A bigger, like a Megatron type person in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? Just like a RoboCop, not Megatron, but yeah, man. I just for selfish reasons. That's all. Like you hear him like, oh, it's a setback. Like, damn, man, I want to see him out there. So, uh,
Yeah.
but what I and like I said, I'm happy about Broderick Martin. I really do think that Martin can eat with these guys, man, with Reader and McNeil, and then kind of give them a breather maybe for a little bit. Because let's be honest, I think people was kind of skeptical on DJ Reader, like, oh, this guy can't stay healthy. You know, he only plays 9-10 games a year. Well, DJ Reader's been great. You know, he might not have the stats. You know, he don't have like 9 sacks or anything
You
like that.
know,
But
I want
Reader
him
been
back next season. He
yeah,
must. I
Reader
want
been
him back. I don't know. I forgot what his deal is, but we need him back. And even outside of just for what he provides when he's on the field, though, I just think
yeah.
that I just think that I believe he's very essential for Broderick's development as well as Aleem's
Yeah,
development. And I truly believe they're gonna draft another nose tackle this year too. And if
yep,
you're gonna draft
yep.
another nose, potentially another guy that's around 6'1", and we're gonna get into some defensive tackles later on in the season, but in regards to the
Mhm.
draft, but you start talking about getting a potential clone of him, maybe like a Dante Corleone from Cincinnati, a guy who's same height, same weight, body type for the most part as
Yeah.
as DJ. But yeah, DJ's been huge, man. If he was hurt through all of this, we've really been in trouble. But he's been great.
Mm-mm. Yeah, B's
So if
been
he
great.
didn't blew
Yep,
then
yep.
blew the Roy whistle.
Nah, but hey, this game this week, Walt. I mean, you know, when you get down to it and you look at the Colts as our opponent this week, I mean, what? Let me ask you this, okay? What do they pose a threat? I mean, at all. I mean, I don't want to sound like cocky or I don't say like a disrespectful Colts fan gonna kill me for this, but I don't know, man. I think that they're better than the Jaguars, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And I was looking at their wins this year. Now they had some quality wins. They beat the Texans early in the season. They lost to the Jets about one. They lost to the Bills 30-20. They lost to the Vikings. They beat the Texans once. I think it was the first, week one, they beat the Texans, and then they just lost to the Texans. So they 1-1 against the Texans. They lost to the Jaguars 37-34. They beat the Steelers by 3. They beat the Bears, lost to the Packers. So what I'm saying is I think they're sort of like in the middle. I don't know if they're good enough. Any given Sunday, a team can put it together, man. You know what I'm saying? And
Of
beat. Look
course.
at Cleveland. You know, and obviously it was in the snow, but they beat the Steelers. You know, I had the Steelers on
Yeah.
my power rankings. They pissed me off by losing that game against the Browns. But anyway, my question is, I mean, can the Colts beat the Lions? I mean, I'm just gonna ask you like that. I mean, can they?
I mean, if you giving them a puncher's chance, yeah, it's possible. Like
Mhm.
we said, on any given Sunday, a team can jump up and play their best. Or one team can show up and play their worst, and the other team can
Yeah,
play somewhere medium and walk
yeah,
away with a victory. But I don't see it, man. I think they have a lot of the same issues Jacksonville had last week. Remember, headed into that game against the Jags last week, we talked about Jacksonville not being able to sustain drives. We talked
mhm,
about the time of possession. Jags headed into that game against us last week were 29th in the league in time of possession. Well,
yeah.
guess who's dead last? The Indianapolis
Colts.
Colts.
Yeah,
They average 2 minutes and 22 seconds per drive offensively. That ain't gonna cut it. You know why?
nah,
Because same thing with Tennessee, same thing with Jacksonville. I think the same thing is gonna happen with the Colts. If you keep giving us so many possessions,
possessions. Yep.
you giving
Curtains,
Brad,
man.
not Brad, but you giving Ben Johnson an opportunity to get into his groove earlier in the game.
Yeah.
You giving Jared Goff an opportunity to complete 6, 7, 8 straight passes and get into a groove. And next thing you know, he's breaking off 15, 16-yard runs. And you got Montgomery getting to the second level untouched, running through linebackers, demoralizing defenses, and making y'all not want to deal with us early fourth quarter, mid fourth quarter.
Yep.
Then you look at them defensively. They 25th in the league in time of possession. So we're a team that likes to move the ball. We'll take what you're giving us, but we'll also go out there and take whatever we want. And you look at the fact that this team it just feels like this team should be Carolina from back in the day with Cam Newton. Because that's pretty much what he is. He's a Cam Newton clone from a physical standpoint. I think he's got a stronger arm to Cam as far as pushing the ball down the field vertically. But you talking about another guy who's 6'5", 250 plus pounds, can get out there and run. He's got the 4.4 speed. He's explosive. They run a lot of RPO with him. They give him a lot of delays, quarterback designed runs, but they're still bottom half of the league in rushing attempts. So it's like y'all have Jonathan Taylor, but you still don't run the offense the way it should be ran. And I think Shane Steichen is solid. Maybe it's the fact that they can't open up the playbook offensively as consistently as they want with Anthony Richardson because he's still growing. Last week against the Jets, shout out to him. He had a bounce back game. I'm glad he bounced back because they was killing him over that "I'm tired" comment.
They was
they was destroying that boy. And I follow Zaire Franklin, starting linebacker of the Colts. I follow his podcast on YouTube, and they had a completely different take on it. He's on there with a couple teammates, and then Kenny Moore's on there from time to time, cornerback. They said they were never like with the media's perception of it. That was never what their perception of it was. Like they knew what was going on with him. They knew that offensively they run him damn near to death. Now, should he have just kept his mouth and not said that? Yeah, probably. I think he was being a little naive. Because at the end of the day, man, the media is not your friend. Never give them any ammunition to keep gunning you down, or that's what he did. But he had a great bounce back game against the Jets last week. That was his best game as a pro.
Yeah.
But as you and I discussed in the pre-show, we like the worst matchup for him a week after having his best game of his career. We the worst matchup. Now they do have some big, fast receivers, physical guys. I like Josh Downs.
Yeah, me too.
I like Pittman.
Yep.
Alex Pierce. I like Michael Pierce. Yep. They got some pieces out there, but like I said, do they have a chance? They do. But they 5-6, and then you look at the stats, and then you watch the Colts play, and then you're almost bottom half of the league in points scored and points given up, which explains why you're 5-6. Like I put out a lot of these stats for people because if you're trying to figure out why a team's record is what it is, typically the time of possession, the turnover margin, the time of possession offensively as well as defensively, not so much pass yards and all of that stuff, but the time of possession, the rushing yards, the turnover margin for damn sure, points given up, the point differential. Those all tend to be very key attributes in finding out what a team truly is at the core. And to me, the Colts are a team that should be a run first, run second, run third team. But they throw the ball too much. It's like they see Anthony Richardson's arm, and that makes you a victim of your talent. Because when you see Anthony Richardson, you see that he can slip at his own 30 and still throw a football all the way to the other end zone for a touchdown to a wide receiver. Is like, okay, you see Josh Allen talent and you want him to be a throw for his quarterback. But to me, these coaches, they don't allow these quarterbacks to grow at their own rate. Yeah. Maybe he can be Josh Allen another year and a half from now. He doesn't have to be Josh Allen right now. And I think as an offensive coordinator, as a head coach, it's your job to put in a scheme-friendly scheme for him. Where he can be more successful. Give him shorter throws. Stop all these long developing plays. But that's just me speaking from an angle of wanting to see him succeed. This Sunday, though, the hell with that. No, like it ain't happening this Sunday, man. We the wrong defense for him to have to go up against immediately after having the best game of his career. I don't think they can, man. And if we trying to get to the numbers, I think Detroit covers that 7.5. I can see Anthony Richardson potentially scoring the first touchdown of the game, maybe. I think initially his feet, his physicality as a runner is going to give us some problems. But man, like once
Mm-hmm.
Brian Branch, that's the thing. If y'all want to be physical, we have zero issue with being physical. So
Yep.
how much are y'all going to run this man once Brian Branch starts coming downfield and saying, I don't give a damn about that 6'5", 250? You feel
Yeah.
me?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Zadarius Smith gets him in the backfield. And you want to be physical with your quarterback? We have no problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like a pinball machine, man. I think this is gonna be a high scoring game. Um, for everything you said, I don't see the Colts beating the Lions, but I do think they're gonna score some points. I think that this the week. Okay, we've shown we can slow it down, win a game 20-17, right? We've shown hell, we can be down and come back and win, right? We've shown dominating performance where we pretty much beat the Titans, the Cowboys, Jacksonville just beat them boys down, right? I think this is the game where it could be 45-30 or 38-33 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I think the Colts going to score some points. I think the Lions, not saying that our defense can't stop them, but I think sometimes during the course of a season, where you get baited into playing a certain way sometimes. And I think, it's a fast track, inside, indoors, you know what I mean? Like you said, the coach 5-6, Shane Steichen, a more offensive minded head coach, you know what I'm saying? They got some play. I think they got better perimeter players than the Jaguars, you know what I'm saying? I think they're going to pose a different threat, you know what I mean? But I think their Achilles heel is like when you try to run the ball, that's where they're going to get in trouble, I think. You know what I'm saying? Even though Jonathan Taylor, a damn good running back. I love Jonathan Taylor. But when it comes down to it, I think we'll be able to just maybe outscore them. So, like I said, it's going to be over to me. I think it's going to be over the points. The Lions going to cover the 7.5 too. That's another thing. And I think the Lions are probably – man, they've been money as far as covering the spread, covering every time they've covered like every time. So I think the Indy, they of course on any given Sunday, any team could lose, right? But like you said, not this week. I don't think the Lions. It's not going to be this week. I don't think they have the ingredients to do it. On defensive side, I think when it comes down to it, we'll be able to score when we want. And I think the Colts will be able to score some points too. And I'm glad you mentioned at the end of the show when we get into our bets, that Anthony Richardson scored the first touchdown. It's very interesting that you would say that. So I got some numbers. So, but you look at it, Walt, you look at their defense. I mean, they drafted Latu, Cutie Pay. You got Grover Stewart, you got DeForest Buckner, you got EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin's tremendous player, Kenny Moore too, tremendous. That they've been underachieving, man. With that much talent on defense, you would think they'd be a little bit better than they are. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's the maybe the secondary might not be as potent as what they thought. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the thing. They've been struggling defensively in some areas against some non-high
yeah,
profile teams to say that we're the best offense hands down. Even the Houston has the talent,
yeah,
but even Houston this year, they're not offensively the Houston they were last year. We're hands down the best offense that they've played all season. And it's
yeah,
going to be a huge test for them. I just don't see, of all the teams that have the potential to do it, I just don't see it being them. They
yeah.
got too much bad stuff going on right now, for lack of a better phrase, man. And Quiddy Pay, he's kind of coming to his own, I think, this year too. He's leading that team in sacks. Grover Stewart, as you mentioned, he's one of the more underrated defensive tackles in the league. DeForest Buckner, everybody knows what type of versatility Buckner brings.
Yeah.
EJ Speed's a good player, as you mentioned. Zaire Franklin. So they got some guys out there, but
Mhm.
man, they haven't seen this. They haven't seen this, man. And I think Detroit covers the 7.5.
Mhm.
I'm going to take the under. I got Detroit winning 28-17 though.
Something like that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I want to see some fireworks, man. Like you said, Alex Pierce. from Cincinnati receiver, tremendous player, man. I think he can be. Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs. You just mentioned these guys too, but I was just going. They drafted A.D. Mitchell too from
Yeah.
Texas. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So they have some. Anthony Gill's been good too for them. Um, man, it's just been, it's unbelievable. The amount of confidence I think everybody's uh says that and thinks that. And what's up, Justin? How you doing? Joseph, how you doing? Um, it's always like to it shows you how far this team has come. You know what I'm saying? To where to this point, I was talking to somebody about this team, and they, the consensus was, man, this team is really like the measuring stick now. Somebody even pointed out yesterday, I didn't even know that the Colts offensive coordinator is Jim Bob Cooter. I didn't realize that. Remember he was with the Lions and stuff for Jim Bob, Jim Bob Cooter, offensive coordinator. So that's kind of funny to me that he's still in the league. But I don't remember him being that diverse as a play caller. But this team does have some talent. So, and I'm intrigued by the whole Anthony Richardson. I want to see AR. I want to see him up close. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I was high on him in the draft. I remember we did some shows, and I said that he reminded me of a young Dante Culpepper. You know what I'm saying? At the time, maybe a little bit shorter, but the kind of thickness and the ability to throw the ball downfield, make some plays, get first downs, keep the chain moving, stuff like that. But hey, man, this is going to be a game where it could be another stats game for me because I look at it when we good score, Dante. When you have a Jahmyr Gibbs, when you got David Montgomery setting the tone, man, it's like what I think people don't realize how good St. Brown is, because I think he may not be the fastest guy out there. He may not be like, well, he pound for pound, he's strong. I think he a
Yeah.
guy, he's strong as hell. I don't think you can just bully him around. But it's almost like the pick and roll. Like when the team is good in basketball, the pick and roll, it's like the easiest thing. You would think it's the easiest thing to defend, because it's like, okay, all I got to do is stay home and don't get screened off and just stay. You know what I'm saying? But you know what's coming, but you can't stop it. And I think with St. Brown is the same way, man. St. Brown, every big catch that he has to make, he makes it. I mean, and that's just, I can't believe he's that good, man, because it's like it's been times where I'm watching it, just like I know all everybody's watching, and we say, St. Brown getting this ball, man. You know what I'm saying? It's 3rd and 7. St. Brown getting this ball, and he
Yeah.
gets it every single time. It's like that is the ability to me what separates this team, because they have the will and they ain't letting up, man, until they get to where they need to go, in my opinion. So for me, I was doubting, like, okay, I'm just gonna paint the picture. Like, remember we lost the game in 49ers, and Dan Campbell said, well, we may not ever get to this spot again, ever in life. You know what I'm saying? Well, not life, but just we
No,
as a,
I get it. I get
you
what
know
he
what
was
I'm
trying to
saying?
say. Like, don't take this moment for
For
granted, because
granted,
a lot
right?
of we don't want to be Cincinnati. We went
Right,
that one. Well, Cincinnati
right.
went to the Super Bowl and everything went downhill since then.
You
But
know,
yeah, I get it.
and
Don't take
damn
it for
it,
granted.
they've made it. These guys have made it a mission to at least get back to where they were. Do you know what I'm saying? And let's see how what's up. So and let this play out. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest part of this team. People wasn't taking Dan Campbell seriously what he said, literally, and I think now it's coming to fruition that they're a pretty damn good team, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's going to be a problem. I'm telling everybody, that December 15th game against the Bills, which now it looks like they're trying to flex the game. Man, just that's going to be a tremendous game, man. I think that's probably going to be the game of the year. Another high scoring. Remember when Josh Allen played Mahomes a couple times, 48-43 type game. And let's be honest, Goff can do that. Goff can put up 40. We seen that. You know what I'm saying? So
It might not. What if we
He,
stop them too?
well, we stopped them boys, right, right, and that's the thing too.
That'll be
The
the one
defense,
victory can't nobody try to side view us on, because they try to play everybody now. Oh well, the people who are Lions haters. Oh well, now all of a sudden y'all didn't play nobody.
yeah,
Man, we played everybody that was on our schedule, bro.
yeah, yeah, that's
It ain't
right.
our fault that the league is so not good as we are right now. And I know that sounds arrogant as hell, but it's the truth.
Yeah,
We just made these teams look like nothing. Even Minnesota. A lot of y'all predicted they was gonna beat us. We went there and beat them boys too.
yeah,
Didn't cover the
that's right.
spread though. But
That's right.
we still went there and beat them. Like, it's if
Well,
you don't believe, you just don't believe. You don't want to believe right now.
and you look at the Colts, Walt, and then they kind of need this game, right? Because they're 5-6. I was kind of looking at now. The Colts got an easy schedule, right? Let me just tell you their games here. After the Lions, the Colts got the Patriots. They got the Broncos in Denver. Then they got,
Losable.
yeah, that's a lose. The Broncos, that's my squad, man. I think they're gonna lose that game. But look at this: the end of the season, dude. They got Tennessee at home. They got
Losable.
they got at the Giants and then at home against the Jaguars. So the Colts could probably sneak in with 9, but they need this game. This is kind of like, well, really, if they beat the Broncos, they could beat the Patriots. They got four guaranteed wins, even regardless if they lose to us. You know what I'm saying? So they can finish 10-7. You know what I'm
I
saying? So
don't know, man.
this a big
I
game
don't
for the
think they
Colts.
good enough to give them any guaranteed wins though. Like,
You don't think so?
especially against divisional opponents, like they could lose to Jacksonville. It could possibly
They did
happen.
already too.
Yeah,
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 yeah, they
that's the
did.
thing. And they're just not good enough to give them any guaranteed wins. Like,
Mm-hmm. That's
could
right.
they do it? It's possible. I still think Houston does it in that division. I think Houston still wins that division, but I don't know, man. It's
Yeah,
we just if they would have drew us earlier in the season, it might be a little different.
yeah,
But we too hot right now, man. I don't see if somebody does manage to cool us off. I don't think it'll be the Colts,
yeah.
and I don't think it'll be the Bears on Thanksgiving either. It could be the
Oh, I
Packers
can't
later
wait
on in
for
the
the
season.
Bears. I can't wait till we do a Bears show, probably Tuesday. But yeah, we owe the Bears big time, bro. They a pain in the ass, Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Because they play us tough all the time. You know what I mean? I think we owe them boys a humbling loss on Thanksgiving. We'll get to that point, but yeah, the 7.5 I wanted to talk about too. The 7.5 is a big number, but not for the Lions this week, man. Like you said, remember we always say it's disrespectful in the league if you get anything over 7, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like
On the road, like,
on
you
the
don't
road.
find too
That's
many road favorites at a touchdown and a half.
oh man, and then I think you can say it with a straight face, that we could beat that team at 7.5. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not even being like whatever. It's just the truth right now at this point. So the money line, you see the plus 330. Yeah. So I like this. And I want to get to my draft. It was those I sent you last night, Walt, but it was a couple DraftKings. It's interesting, man. I like they had I'll do it at the end because I got to get to it, but they really combined. They had some good bets, some prop bets combining both teams. Like it was a I'm gonna get to it here. I'm looking for it, but where they had the Colts and the Lions combined for X amount of touchdowns, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about here when I get to it. But we can go through these real quick while I'm looking for it. Walt. And I agree with Joe. I think that when we smash the Bills, then well, you're right. You're right, Jo. You know what I'm saying? Well, what the heck is everybody gonna say then? I totally agree with that. Um, Jameer Gibbs, 100 plus yards, plus 240. Um, Now let me give me your thoughts. Okay, we're just gonna say this now. Jameer Gibbs is more likely to get 100 yards
Right.
than David Montgomery, right? I mean, just because with Gibbs and Montgomery, the way they're so in sync with each other, you know what I'm saying? They necessarily don't run for 100 yards a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like you Gibbs will give you 14 carries for 85 yards, right? And a touchdown. Montgomery may get you 15 carries for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is a game where both guys can get 100 yards. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think this bet here is interesting. If you bet, this is plus 240 for Gibbs to rush 100 yards. I think Gibbs is always like Jameson Williams. He's a threat. Anytime he touches the ball, he can take it the distance at this point in his career. So yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how you feel about this Jahmyr Gibbs, but 100 yards. I mean, when I seen that, I was like, man, that's okay. I would
It's
I would do that.
it's hard for me to say, man, because as much as I love this offense and I love this team, and you and I talked about this during the offseason, it's almost to a detriment. Like we got so much talent to give the ball to, whether you're talking about St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta, who has kind of become the odd man out this season, offensively, which happens.
Mhm,
Khalif Raymond can go out there and make plays. Zylstra.
mhm.
We got so many different guys out there
Yeah.
that it's almost to a detriment.
Yep.
Because as well as we run the ball, like even last week against Jacksonville, as well as we ran the footballs, still neither one of them went over 100 yards. Like
Right.
they're so
Yeah.
fair with the
Yep.
distribution, with the carries. It's like, and you'll walk away from a game watching the Lions play and watching the Lions dominate the line of scrimmage offensively and gas teams 15 yards per carry in the first quarter. You will see all that, and then you'll go check the box score after the game, and Montgomery 70 yards. Like that's all he had.
Right.
Gibbs
Exactly.
80. Like that's all he had, but it
But yeah,
feel like
hell of
both
an
of them went
impact.
over 100. Yeah, it feels like it.
That's right.
So even look, what was it last week? I think last week it was one if Montgomery 100 plus yards. I think it was like 450 or 425,
Yeah, it's 450. Yeah,
and
475.
they
Yeah.
stopped him at 75 yards.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's is if I was a better man, being outside of Detroit,
Yeah.
it would be hard to get me to bet on either one of these dudes to get over 100 yards because the distribution between the carries is so fair, and then they get their gashes.
Hmm.
Montgomery may get to the second level, break 4 or 5 tackles. He'll
Man.
get you a 25-yard gain. But now we starting to see Alabama Gibbs. Now we starting to see the the 50-yard runs.
Woo.
And that's what's getting scary now.
Yeah.
We got the 80-yard runs, the 70s, the 50s. We starting to break those now.
He gonna
Jahmyr
get one
Gibbs is starting.
tomorrow.
Yeah, Gibbs is figuring it out. And I told people last year, oh man, I watched his YouTube highlights and I don't see what everybody's talking about. He looked faster at Alabama. Why isn't he doing that for us? Just chill.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
chill. Relax. Me and you talked about this last year. It's gonna come. Even if it doesn't come to year 2, which it seems like it has come for him year 2. Be
This.
patient. Y'all gonna start seeing the 45s and the 50s and the 60s. And that's what's gonna really open the offense up. And now that opens things up for J-Mo. The
Hmm.
touchdown J-Mo had last week, he could have ran faster than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
He
that's how
kind of shoots with
confident
his
he
foot off
is in
it.
his speed. He slowed up at like the 15-yard line
Yeah.
against them. So yeah, it's hard getting me to sell a bet on Jahmyr or Montgomery simply because the carries, they may both end tomorrow's game. Gibbs may end it with 19 carries. Montgomery, it may not be a Montgomery game. He may only get 13 carries, but Montgomery may have 13 carries for 70 yards.
Hmm.
It happens that way. I probably wouldn't touch either one of the bets. Just I don't want to put them back up there for everybody who didn't see them.
But yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't take either bet. Now Jameson Williams anytime touchdown plus 205.
Yeah. I like that.
They give up a lot of passing yards.
Hmm.
They do. They really do. And they lack team speed in that secondary as well. And
But
for a
check.
team that allows teams offensively to move the ball on them a lot the way the Colts do, I would take it may not look like great money. I would take the plus 205 on JMO though.
Yeah. For any time. Yeah. Check this, man. This is real fun right here. Okay. According to DraftKings. Okay. This is what I want to get to. This is combined touchdowns, Walt. Combined touchdowns, both teams. So you go Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, and Anthony Richardson combined for 3+ touchdowns plus 200.
All right, you said Anthony
So
Richardson and who else?
it'd have to be Gibbs, JMO, and Anthony Richardson to get 3+ touchdowns, plus
I'll take it.
200.
Plus
Yeah.
200.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plus 200. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's kind of easy money. Even though I don't think offensively the Colts will be able to do enough, because it happens, man. Jacksonville is honestly the only team that did absolutely zero zilch against us. As bad as we beat Tennessee, Tennessee still managed to score 14 points in the first half of that game. I don't think the Colts can muster up enough. Now, is it possible? Like I said, Anthony Richardson can get a touchdown run, 20-yard touchdown run outside of the red zone, maybe something in the goal line stands, possibly. Gibbs, yeah, I definitely take that.
Boy, this if you're really feeling froggy, listen to this. This is real. This is confidence big time. Okay. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. The three of those guys combined for 5 touchdowns plus 450. Do you that's if you think we gonna put up 40, that's a sure bet. That's all our guys right there. I think it was a stat where they had what was it, 5 straight games where they all scored. You know what I'm saying? So they've been doing it. So Montgomery, Gibbs, and St. Brown combined for 5+ touchdowns. That's a lot of pressure though. You got to get it quick. You know what I'm saying? You got to get it at some point in the first half, but then
I ain't
plus
taking
450. Yeah, that's a lot right there.
I ain't taking it. I ain't taking that.
What about a Colts one? This is a fun one for the Colts. Okay, here we go. Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. to combine 2+ touchdowns, plus 400.
Ain't taking that either.
So,
ain't taking that either.
I thought I could
gotta
get
remember.
you that.
You gotta remember this. It's not like the Colts run a lot of misdirection, end arounds, and screens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Somebody got to throw them dudes the ball too for them to score them touchdowns. No insult to Anthony Richardson, man, but at this point in time, man, I'm gonna keep going back to it. Yeah. We're the worst possible matchup defensively for this young man who just had the best game of his career.
Yeah,
he don't want to see it. Somebody got to throw them dudes the football for them to score those touchdowns, and I don't think Anthony doing it.
Yeah, I agree with Lauren. Hey, man. Like Lonnie McCurry just said, yeah, if they put up 40, man, if they beat this team, just say if they put up 40 on this squad and just smash them, which I'm not saying the Colts are great. I'm just saying, man, if you do that again, if you smash this team again, boy, I look out, man. I don't know. I think we already a threat anyway, but that would be impressive to me to go and just beat this team like that. These are NFL players, bro. These are NFL.
You know how hard it is to predict a 50 burger or a 40 burger? Like everybody and their mama knew last week that Detroit was going to destroy Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah, for
Nobody envisioned 50 points, though.
Yeah,
it's hard to envision a team scoring 50 points in an NFL game. Like now, if we talking prime Alabama, Nick Saban, or LSU or Ohio State,
yeah,
scoring 50 on Akron or somebody, that's different. But it's would it surprise? I don't think it's gonna happen, but would it surprise me if we score 40? No. Because we've done it so well this season. If we went out there and we beat the Colts 40-20 or 40-14 or something, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'll just walk away from it saying, damn, well, they proved it. They proved it again another week. Like that's all you can walk with. All you can do is just look at the screen and say, "Damn, they did it again. I was wrong."
Yeah, of course, and I would love it. That would just show me how lazy.
And then the second half defense, the adjustments.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it. Yeah, because like it's been in the past where we've seen this team play. And like even last year, like losing to the 49ers, said here go broken tubing again. No, I'm not saying that. Boy, that's a bet though. That's a bet right there. I'm telling you that if you think the Lions gonna smash mouth these guys, you might be willing to do it. You know what I mean? That I wouldn't do it. That's like that's crazy right there. But yeah, if I see a 40 burger come up and then the Colts got less than 20 points, to me, I'm like, wow. Because I think it's going to be high scoring. I really do. I think both teams just going to run up and down the field. That's how I figure. I don't think that not saying the Lions defense isn't good, but sometimes, like I said before, you just get baited into these kind of games because I think Colts, their skill players are better than Jaguars to me. That's
No,
how I
they are.
feel
They
about,
are.
you know what I'm saying? Like Christian Kirk, I barely even seen him last week. You know what I'm saying? Brian Thomas, they couldn't get him the ball. Travis Etienne
You
did
know,
the
he about
best
to
he
be
could.
gone anyway. Kirk at the end of the season. They was already
Mhm.
shopping him at the trade deadline.
Yeah. So, but I think they got a little bit more sustainable with Josh Downs, playmaker, man. You know what I'm saying? Alex Pierce, nice big receiver. Like I said, AD Mitchell hasn't done much this year, but he is a threat out there as a rookie. So I think they got a little bit more, what's the guy who was a basketball player at tight end? Mo Alley Cox. They got him. I mean, they got some players, man. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Lions still better. We're still gonna win the game. But man, if we beat this team and run 40 on these guys, it's like wow. It's like this is something we ain't never seen before. Nobody's ever seen it. So I've heard some comparisons to the Patriots, what the '07 Patriots or something like that. That was smashing people like this. I heard the Rams under Kurt Warner, his first year with the Rams. So yeah, I mean the
Hey,
yards are
speaking of
there.
that,
Yeah.
speaking of that,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that,
Oh,
man.
see, I didn't even know you made this. See, look at this. This man, you be on it,
I
man.
mentioned this a few days ago for everybody who didn't get a chance to see the show.
Yeah.
Um, that we I had to do because I know you was having some technical difficulties, but just comparing the 2024 Detroit Lions to the 2009 New Orleans Saints team and the 1999 St. Louis Rams team through the first 10 games, these stats are where the Saints and Rams both finished at the end of the season,
Yeah.
and this is the pace that the Detroit Lions are currently at. And all three of those teams are eerily close. That
Mm-hmm.
is strange. Offensively, all three teams first in the league in offense. All three teams were top 6 in rushing yards. All three teams were top 10 in rushing touchdowns. All three teams were top 6 in passing yards. All three teams were top 4 in passing touchdowns. And if you look at the defense, the only thing that separated these three teams defensively was pretty much the passing yards. We give up a lot of passing yards. The Saints gave up a lot of passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, you're talking about all three teams were top 6 in takeaways. All three teams were top 3 in interceptions.
Yeah.
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy. That's crazy.
Takeaways. That's what I was
Yeah.
telling people during the
Identical.
early part of the season. I don't give a damn about pressures if you're taking the ball away. All three teams at this rate, Detroit's going to finish top 3 in interceptions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I said the passing yards, the Saints and the Lions did both give up a lot of passing yards. But then you look at the touchdown passes given up by all three teams' defenses.
Yeah.
Detroit, first in the league in pass, not pass defense, but they're first in the league in touchdowns given up, which is great. Least amount for people
Yeah.
who don't get that. Saints finished 5th, and the Rams finished 7th. Just
Wow.
want to compare our team to
Yeah. That's
greatness
great.
because that 99 Rams team was a historical team.
Yeah.
That 2009 Saints team wasn't historical, but they
Won
won
the
a lot
Super
of
Bowl.
games. Yeah, they
Yeah.
won a lot of games in the same fashion that we did, and then they got to the Super Bowl and they managed to beat Peyton
Mhm.
Manning.
Yeah.
I actually had the Colts winning that game. Boy, was I wrong. And after that, I never bet on Peyton to win another Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
But
Wow. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it's just the comparisons is wild, man. I just want Lion fans to understand we're watching something special. Like,
yeah.
don't be shocked if this team wins out. Don't
It
be
is.
shocked if this team manages to make the Super Bowl. Don't be shocked if this team actually wins the Super Bowl. There's people out here who still don't believe. They still see the lion on the helmet and they still waiting on that other shoe to drop. Don't be shocked if this team wins at all.
We had to put our listeners been on lockstep. We've had people come out already and said it today. You know what I'm saying? The Super Bowl's a lie. I think it was ZZZ Lion. I think he said it, and I agree. I agree with Joe Jo. I call him. I agree with all these guys. Brent, everybody, Trey Finette, everybody saying the same
Oh
thing,
no, we
man.
got smart listeners.
They all know what the heck's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, um, Yeah, man. It just blows me away how the fashion that they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because I just remember people was questioning Jared Goff and everything like that. I would rather have Jared Goff right now than a lot of these quarterbacks, man. I mean, Jared Goff is like we got a plus guy at quarterback. I think that's the look at the stats. Look at the NFL up and down. Who's playing? Maybe Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Them the two guys you could say stat wise maybe that Goff, but Goff built his stats up last week. I think this is another game where he can get into the race, you know what I'm saying? Because he's in the race, but I mean, I want him to pad his stats. I want him to
They
get,
don't want to give it to him, brother.
yeah,
That's just how it is, man. These people in the national media are still calling Lamar Jackson the MVP favorite. There's still some of them are still calling the Ravens with 4 damn losses the best team in football.
yeah,
They
let him
don't
do
want
it.
to give it to him. That's just
And
I doubt if they give it to him. If we finish 16-1,
yeah,
they may have no choice
yeah,
but to give it to him. It would look
yeah,
real bad to give it to him. I mean, it would look real bad in my opinion to give it to Lamar Jackson on a 5 or 6 loss Raven team,
yeah,
and then you looking at a 16-1 Lions team who lead the league in offensive categories, everything, and you shun their quarterback. But it can happen. If we looking at last year between Lamar and Josh Allen, you can make the argument that Josh Allen was more valuable to his team last year because statistically, Josh Allen had the better statistics than
yeah,
Lamar. And
yeah,
Josh also managed to take a team that was under 500 at one point in time, fired their OC, and Josh Allen took that team from dead and
mhm,
carried them physically himself to the playoffs,
yeah.
won a playoff game. Then, of course, they lost in the divisional round. But yeah, it's the NFL is too inconsistent, man, with how they give out this award. Like, okay, it's already been pretty much stated without being stated that it's a quarterback award. That's it. We only gonna give it to a
Right.
quarterback.
And that's why I mentioned the stats because you know what I'm saying? Like you can't be have 20. I'm just putting a number. I just say you got 30 touchdowns. You finish the year 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 13 picks. That's not like, you know what I'm saying? That's not like MVP numbers, right? You know what I'm saying? You more so got to have a 35-6 season. You know what I'm saying? 4,000 yards or whatever. That's all what I was saying with the yards and with the
Definitely.
touchdowns, the interceptions. But like you said, let Lamar get the trophy for MVP.
Well,
But
what
we
if he
take it.
break the record? 80% completion percentage in the season.
Yeah, that's something never been done. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And worthy.
bananas, man.
Yeah,
80% in the NFL?
yeah, yeah. And I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad ZZZ Lions put this up. I hope I'm saying the name right. This coaching staff does have the ability to get the best out of play. And I think, man, remember we've seen it. Remember we talked about it before. We've seen the process the last 3 years of us getting certain guys, coaching them up. You know what I'm saying? Keeping their guys. I think that graphic you did was fantastic with David Long because it showed that is a nutshell of what kind of players that they like, man. You know what I'm saying? That's brilliant by you to put that up there because it's like that's what it is. What I'm saying is 6-year veteran where Dan Campbell don't have to hold this guy's hand. He knows he's been in NFL locker rooms for the most part, being on Tennessee and Miami. They haven't won much. Miami has won a little bit recently, but you know what I'm saying? So he probably tired as hell of losing, being in losing locker rooms. So that's number one, and then you come over here to Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, and you see Brad Holmes, and then you see what's going on over here. So you get a guy with 25 games in 2 seasons with 151 tackles, put an asterisk by that, 11 tackles for loss and a sack and a forced fumble. That's just perfect guy for our team, man. You know what I'm saying? Where he ain't a me guy. You know what I'm saying? We don't have me guys on this team. Just look at the running back tandem. That'll show you right there that we don't have any me guys on this team. So I just like the signing, man. I just think that the Lions are above, heading above a lot better than even we even give them credit for. I think we don't even witness what we're witnessing. It just doesn't even seem like I don't think we're gonna appreciate it until maybe like let's say after the season. Let's just say they do what we all think they're gonna do, go win the Super Bowl, right? I still don't think we really appreciate what's going on though. I don't think that we realize that, bro, we dominating the NFL. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And it's like that's not easy to do because this league is hard, man. Injuries, you got fickle coaches. You know what I'm saying? You got management. Look at the Cowboys. They totally fell apart as an organization. You know what I'm saying? Like for everybody that wants to say Philly is, a team that the Lions got to look out for. I'm not worried about Philly and not at all. I think we could play them in Philly and beat that team. I just don't think they can take us out. I mean, I don't think nobody. I'm looking at Super Bowl matchups. That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at, damn, what if we played the Steelers? Or damn, what if we played the Bills? You know what I'm saying? What if we played the Ravens? How would we match up against the Chiefs again? You know what I'm saying? It's like that's how I feel about it. Like the team as a whole has just totally went above and beyond expectations, and just they're supposed to be here. It's not like I
Oh,
think somebody
definitely.
somebody said it best on a Prime Video. I can't remember who it was. They wasn't talking about the Lions, but they were talking about Washington. They were saying that the Commanders technically they don't supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? But the Lions, they're supposed to be here, bro. And it's like the way they're doing it, it's like, okay, Philly had that fake 10-1 last year. And I give you credit because I remember last year, remember Philly was 10-1. And you said, man, I don't believe it. I don't they got too many, it's a lot of stuff going on with the Eagles. And sure enough,
It's the coach, it's the offensive coordinator, it's the play
yeah.
calling, it's Jalen Hurts. And we talked about this, man. Ever since that Super Bowl loss against the Chiefs, he
Hmm.
played great in that game too. But ever since they lost that Super Bowl to the Chiefs, that offense been in a funk.
Hmm.
They've been in a funk all this season. To have that much money tied up in a quarterback and two wide receivers, and y'all
Yeah.
can't score over 20 points.
Yeah.
Look how bad they look offensively every single game, though. At
Yeah.
least to start the first half. They've been getting away with it too. The Eagles ain't been out there beating up on no thorough teams like that. They've been having their struggles. Jacksonville gave them problems a few weeks ago in case people
Hmm.
actually forgot.
Yeah.
But I think Brent DeWitt, he's spot on with this. I think the MVP thing is more of a popularity contest. Like everybody loves Lamar. I love Lamar.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
think he's tremendous talent. He's fun to
Yeah.
watch. But if we keeping it 100, Lamar don't win enough. And if we just talking about straight MVP, Lamar has had a top 5 defense every year of his career, except for this year. This is the one year Mike McDonald left, went to go be the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. The defense isn't as good. His team is 7-4.
Yeah.
But we've seen like Josh Allen do more with way less. Like Josh Allen is like he's the guy that's completely leaned on to be the guy every single week.
Yeah.
As far as having number one defenses and a defense that leads the league in intercepts, takeaways, and sacks, Josh doesn't have that. Josh never had that. And then if you're
Hmm.
looking at Lamar's playoff record, you're talking about 2-4 in the playoffs. I get the MVP being a regular season award, but let's be honest about it. If we really want to sit up and pretend like we don't factor in playoffs too, when we start looking at these quarterbacks later on, same thing with James Harden for years in the NBA. You can make the
Hmm.
argument James Harden was probably the best offensive player in the league for a good 5-6 years. Maybe longer than that. But
Yeah.
that's regular season MVP. When it got to
Yeah.
the playoffs, he wasn't the MVP. You talking about guys like LeBron, and we gonna get to the old political stuff of the NBA, but you can't. To me, this is my personal opinion, man. Until you start really winning some shit, and I'm talking about like in the playoffs, the
Hmm.
regular season MVP is one thing. Playoffs is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like I said, he's popular. He's probably the most popular player in the league right now. But the winning ain't coming there. That's the whole thing.
Sure.
It's not happening. And I think that's a very valuable part of everything that people tend to leave out when it comes to certain players. We hold certain quarterbacks to a level of winning that we don't hold everybody else to. And like I said, I love Lamar, but just looking at it through the optics, I'm looking at it. Nah, I can't see it. Trey, Trey got a question. Trey got a stance. I don't know what Josh Allen has been better, has had better teams than Lamar. They both don't show up in the big moments in the playoffs against Frogman. Only Burrow did that with the worst defense than both of them. Now I don't know, man. If you look, the thing is Buffalo and Baltimore, and I'll give it to you. Buffalo and Baltimore both been beat up a lot over the past few years. Josh Allen, you look at him losing both of his starting safeties over the past couple years, the season and the injuries. Tre'Davious White was their best corner for a while. They eventually had to part ways with him. You're talking about Kiko Alonso leaving. Like, they lost a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Stephon Diggs going through the drama they went through with Diggs last season, firing Ken Dorsey in the middle of the season, your OC. But they did go out. They brought in Amari Cooper. I think Keon Coleman, the rookie wide receiver, he's solid for them. But you talking about Lamar, man. Then Buffalo, Lamar's played for a better organization. I don't think we can deny that. Historically, the Ravens have a better reputation than Buffalo in regards to building teams, in regards to drafting, in regards to stability at coach. You got to look at how long John Harbaugh's been there too. And, like this, people forget last year, Lamar had the number one defense in football. The Ravens were number one in the league in hard quarterback pressures. They were number one in the league in sacks. They were top 5 in defense. Like, he had a really good team last year. It seems like, and I agree with Trey on this 1,000%.
Yeah.
They both tend to not show up in the bigger moments, but I don't know. Like, Josh got a better playoff record, and Josh has beaten Lamar head to head in the playoffs too. So I don't know, man. Me and my homeboys, we have this Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen argument a whole lot between the two of them. But if we shut
Yeah.
down Jay,
Good
should
point. I was
Goff
just
get the
gonna say that.
MVP?
Yeah, I think that's why I want that the good. This is a good comment here because I wanted. That's why I want Goff to have another big game stat wise tomorrow. Then when those two face each other, man, like I said, it could be for the MVP. It could be. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to arguably have the top one, the number one and the number two team. I think that's why the NFL seriously thinking about flexing the game. You know what I'm saying? For that week. So yeah, I can see that. I love that. You know what I mean? Now, well, we got the power rankings. I don't know if you got that graphic still in your Rolodex, but
You still want to
kind
go
of just
through
so
it?
we
The Steelers didn't disappoint you?
yeah, I was gonna say that pissed me right off, man. Russell Wilson, my guy. I mean, he played tremendous. I think that snow game was weird, but now they 8-3. And when I gave Walt this list, he gonna have his coming up here next week. But
When he gave me the
yeah,
list, the
yeah,
Steelers was
they was
okay.
before the Cleveland. Yeah, and I just my reason behind. I mean, we don't have to elaborate too much. But number 7, I got the Chargers coming in. Listen, it was some honorable mentions here too. I don't give a top 10. I like completion number. I go with top 7. So that's why instead of 10 or 5, I put 7. But I could have easily had Washington here, or even the Cardinals are 6-4. But I think the Cardinals are playing really good football. I like that team too. So those
Me
two
too.
teams, I acknowledge that they're playing good. You know what I'm saying? My Broncos, that's my other kind of other team. They're playing good ball, but they don't deserve to be on here yet. So, anyways, Chargers number 7, 7-3. Listen, Coach Harbaugh has really done above what I thought. I thought this was going to be
Mm-hmm.
like a red shirt year for him. I was thinking, looking at 5 wins. When you got a quarterback like Justin Herbert, who I really like, I have liked him since the day they drafted him. You pretty much pulled the reins back to start off the relationship. And that was
Yeah.
brilliant by Harbaugh, I think, to do that. And now you just let that kid let it rip now with his talent. He's talented enough. He can make every damn throw. And I think they had to get to know each other. And now we can see here in Detroit, when a coach trusts the quarterback, that's a beautiful marriage right there. So look up for the chart. I think they definitely make the playoffs now this season. The Baltimore Ravens 7-4, tentatively put an asterisk by it. I don't know if it's a lock that they're going to get one of the top seeds. I think they will make the playoffs because they're in the division with the Bengals, the Browns. The Steelers might wind up in and winning that division. They've already beat them once head to head. So Baltimore in trouble a little bit. They in trouble. They got the Chargers. I think they play Monday night, if I'm not mistaken, in LA. Well, look out for that one. If the Baltimore don't win this game, they in trouble, in my opinion. They got to do it. Steelers at number 5. I don't even want to talk about this team. You lose to the Browns, you done. I have no comments for you. But they in the top 7 right now. The Eagles 8-2. I think that they are good. Listen, I just talk bad about the Philly and said they're not as good as last year's team or whatever. But they do have veterans and they do play with some pride. So I'm not going to just totally discount them. But I just don't think they can beat
And the
the
defense
Lions.
has made some improvements over the year.
Yeah,
The
I love
secondary is
this.
playing really well too.
Yeah, I love the secondary. I think that would be a tremendous game, Lions and Eagles anyway in the playoffs. But I think ultimately, I don't think Lions fan ain't too much to worry about. I think they take care of the Eagles, man. You know what I'm saying? The biggest thing now is the Lions just got to get home field. You know what I'm saying? To make sure when you play the Eagles or any other playoff game, you want the playoffs to go through Ford Field, basically. You know what I'm saying? To kind of make sure, with our home field advantage and an experience from last year and how this team's playing, that they would, take care of business. And then I had the Chiefs and then the Bills. Like I said, we both love the Chiefs defense, but it's like, and then I think ZZ Lions said it. It's hard to win 3. So you know how hard it is. It's hard to win 1 Super Bowl. Chiefs win 3 in a row, bro. That's kind of like, and I think Devin McCourty was kind of saying that at the beginning of the season on NBC. He said that at the beginning of the season, I don't think that the Chiefs gonna win 3 in a row. It's not like you disrespecting those guys, but it's hard, man, to win 3 Super Bowls. With injuries and the players, the rosters change. 10 to 15 players every year. It's hard, man. So now I think they're gonna maybe get some more offensive talent for next year. You know what I'm saying? Because they do need, I think, some more talent on offense. If you want to point one thing with the Chiefs and then the Bills, I think right now Super Bowl matchup. I think it's Buffalo and the Lions, man. You know what I mean? Right now, I think they're the 2 best teams. Buffalo's been tremendous. Josh Allen's been tremendous. What's the receiver, Walt? Khalil Shakur?
Yeah.
Really been tremendous. So he filled the role well.
He's there, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep, Myra St. Brown. He's been tremendous. Dalton Kincaid at tight end. James Cook running the football. Man, they got what's the guy, offensive lineman that got really better? Deion Dawkins, Osiris Torrance, the guy we talked about, did some shows on him from Florida, fit in nice on the offensive line. They got some talent, man. Tyrell Bernard on defense. I really like him. Even you go to far as say DeMar Hamlin's even out there making plays again now for their team. So I like the team. I like Buffalo. So and then we know we don't have to say why the Lions would be number 1. So that's my top 7.
I got a couple comments on this. I do think Buffalo. All right, so this is the deal with Buffalo, man. And I didn't make a big deal about them beating Kansas City last week because they've beaten Kansas City before. They've had success recently against them. Their monkey on their backs is getting success against them in the playoffs. We know Josh Allen and Buffalo can beat the Chiefs in November.
Yeah.
We know they can beat them early in December. We know if they play them in September, they can beat them then. Can you beat them in the playoffs? That's the whole thing. When the situation gets a little tighter and the pressure starts to build up and it's win or go home, and every single game on a weekend basis is based upon coaching adjustments and did your quarterback show up or not, and play calling, questionable play calling, elite play calling, bad calls from the referees, missed field goals, coaching matchup. Can they beat Kansas City at that point in time? That's
Yeah.
just why I said, man, people, it was like, and I get it. Josh Allen was hype. That's their rival. I get it. You want to beat them every time you beat them. Y'all got to do it in the playoffs, bro. That's why when they beat Kansas City last week, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I mean, it's not like y'all went out there and smashed them. Y'all won late, but I've seen y'all do this before. I want to see Josh, and I'm a big Josh Allen fan too. I want to see Josh eventually get over the hump. But for me, y'all got to do that in the playoffs. But I want to transition over to these bets because team 6 and 7 in your power rankings play Monday night. This is interesting. I understand completely why you picked it. Ravens coming off a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're sitting currently at 7-4 now. I think the Ravens are
Yeah, 7-4. Yep.
7-4. The Chargers. We
Seven
all
and three.
know,
Yeah.
we all know Jim Harbaugh's brand of football. We watched it here at Michigan for about 7 years. We watched what he was at Stanford. We saw what he built in San Francisco. You and I discussed this ad nauseum over the offseason. When he heads to the Chargers, they're going to play damn good defense, which they are the number one in the league right now overall in the defense. And they're going to run the football, and they're going to
Yeah.
limit Justin Herbert's throws.
Yeah.
He has them looking like a competent Charger team. Now, we've seen a bunch of super talented Charger teams. This
Yeah.
is the most competent
Yeah.
we've seen the Chargers look. And you're talking about a line of -2.5. I'm going to get right to it. I think the Chargers win this football game. I think right now, matchup-wise, now over the long run, it may be proven different. But at this moment in time, I think the Chargers are a better football team. They're better defensively. They play more disciplined than the Ravens do. The Ravens keep getting penalty after penalty after penalty. The passing game is still inconsistent. The only consistent they do have is leaning on Lamar to make magic happen.
Yeah.
I think that Charger defense, they've been solid against the run, against the pass as well.
Yeah.
They're athletic enough in that front seven to give him problems. And also, the Raven offensive line has been having issues.
Yeah.
I just think right now doesn't mean the Ravens over the long run may not be the better team, may not go further in the playoffs, because I agree with you. I think the Chargers make the playoffs. I think the AFC West gets 2 teams in, Chiefs and Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers to win this game outright and to cover that 2.5.
Yeah. Totally agree. Carbon copy of what you just said. I like the over. I like the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert gonna ball in this game right here, man. They haven't asked him to do much at all. You know, he out there having fun and throwing under 20 passes a game. You know what I'm saying? And he's way better than that. Way more, and I think it's been a feeling out learning process. Jim Harbaugh's handled this situation perfectly with him. I think, and now it's gonna he's going to reward Jim by having a game like this where that Baltimore Ravens defense ain't the same Ravens defense they've had. I like Kyle Hamilton. I really do. I think he one of the top safeties in the league, but you could damn near throw it over. I think now I did see he hasn't allowed a touchdown. I don't know if that was his career or within over an amount of game, but Kyle Hamilton's really good. But I think that they can run the ball and bait him in the crowd in the line of scrimmage and just go to town on them, man. Quentin Johnston, I think Harbaugh's really rejuvenated his career because he was looking like a bust out of TCU, man. Slow as hell, can't get open, that type of thing. But now it just seems like every week Quentin Johnston scoring a touchdown wide open, and that's scheme to me. So, yeah, I really like the Chargers, man, this week. I think, like you said, I think it's going to be another high. I think it's going to be a bunch of points this week and all the NFL games this week. It tends to be a week where touchdowns become a lot more plentiful, and I think this is the week according to the matchups. You know what I'm saying? And it's another indoor game. Sunny California. I like the Chargers this week for the reasons you said too as well. So,
yeah. I'm also going to take the under on it, though. I just think the Charger defense has been playing so well, so suffocating for some teams, and for the Ravens to be an offense that still struggles, pushing the ball downfield. The consistency and the intermediate passing still isn't there for them. And I just think the Chargers defensively are too good right now. I think they're too good right now. They've got the talent. As long as Lamar doesn't turn the ball over, I don't think the game will get completely out of hand. If you're the Ravens, it'll still stay in striking distance.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say 26-21 Chargers. I just
Okay.
think it's gonna be tough sledding for the Ravens.
Yeah.
So we can go on to this final game, Philly at Rams. This is something that's very interesting too. Also, we're looking at a 2.5 point spread in this game as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Rams at home, been kind of hit or miss. Uh, the team is so young, man. Especially like on defense. You and I, we raved about the draft picks that they made over this offseason. Jared Verse has been great for them. He's
Mhm.
been great for them. Braden Fisk has been a good player. They've got a lot of guys in the front seven, very talented, but they're still young.
Yeah.
And they also lighten the pockets too. So I
Yeah.
do think the Eagles will go, they'll come out, they're going to try to establish the run. I think the Eagles will be able to run the ball on the Rams. But problem is this. We know McVay and Stafford are going to throw the football. That Eagles
Yeah.
secondary has been pretty good as of late. The defense has drastically improved overall. How do they match up with those Rams wide receivers? I think that's going to be the matchup right there that decides the game. I want to pick the Rams because they're at home, but man, it's rough, man, because it's all based upon, for me, what type of production do the Eagles get out of their offense? Because that offense, we talked about this in the last segment, that offense has been putrid in the first half of games. And if it wasn't for signing Saquon Barkley this offseason, the Eagles would probably have 2 more losses right now. So with that being
Yeah.
said, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the Rams. I think the Rams will score just a little bit more. Just a little
Yeah.
bit more. I don't
Yeah.
like the 49 points though. I can
Yeah.
see this game being something around
Under.
20-17,
Yep.
favoring the Rams, maybe 23-20, something like that.
Yeah. Damn. I thought for sure you're gonna take the Eagles this week. I think this is the first time in a while we both agreed on both
The
games.
Rams can get explosive. That's the thing. The Eagles
Yeah.
haven't proven to be explosive. The Rams, Stafford can get hot.
Yeah.
He can
I
get
don't
hot.
I don't believe in the Eagles at all. I don't. I think that team's broken, man. Something wrong with the Eagles. Even though they're sitting what 8-2. I don't believe it. I believe more in Stafford's abilities. I do. I think that they can't throw out a coverage that he hasn't seen. I just think that they're a better team at home. Listen, they played us tough week 1. And it's like, what's up, Chris? It's always like I I don't think that I just don't think the Eagles are a threat, man. I don't. I like Saquon Barkley going there. I think that he's adding an element that they haven't had. But like you said, what I'm saying is I think it's a disconnect between Hurt, the coach. It's something not right, man. It's just that the body language don't look. I'm a big proponent of body language when I see players play. Jalen Hurts is not. You said it before. He's not the same dude, man. It's just something going. And I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. I am, but it's something
The
not
league
right.
figured him out. I told
It
you after
don't
that
seem
after that
right.
Super Bowl loss, even
It,
though he played really well in the Super Bowl, things that offense has been in a funk since that Super Bowl loss, man. I think the main thing is that teams figured out a way to take away those rushing lanes for him, and they've been able to contain him more the last couple years. So now it's a situation where in the NFL is unforgiving. They don't give a damn about what your weaknesses are, how it makes you feel, how bad it hurts you. They decided that, you know what, we're gonna make sure we keep Hurts in the pocket and we're gonna force him to beat us. We're gonna force him to survey the field coverage wise and make the decisions, make quick decisions. He's not a quick decision
yeah,
maker. And I
yeah,
think that's the key thing for him. Also, the Eagles, man, they too many long developing plays.
yeah.
Everything is about pushing the ball downfield constantly. And if they can't push the ball downfield, what does Hurts do? Oh, well, I'll just pull it down and run.
Mhm.
Teams got that figured out.
Yeah.
Teams have been had that figured out, man.
And I think they got bailed out. I mean, not bailed out, but Saquon won the Packers game. Remember they played that game in Germany and they won that game. You know what I'm saying? You look at they barely beat the Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? They barely beat Tampa. I mean, they just don't look convincing doing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying at all. Well, Chris say he went to Dan Campbell's house. Is that what he's saying? Uh, yeah.
No, he
Hey,
tell her the truth. This man ain't no BSer,
no,
dog.
I know, no.
He
I'm
tell her
not
the
saying
truth.
that. Yeah, that's what's up right there. I mean, I hope that's for something good. You know what I'm saying? But that's awesome right there. You know, you heard it first. But yeah, I do believe the Rams gonna win the game. I do think, like you said, it's gonna be an under game as well. You know, Stafford just continues to play well, man. Stafford's been tremendous. I think he's the guy. You know, you can lean on him. He's had to do it here, so we know he can hold a big weight on his shoulders and carry a team, you know, to an extent. So I really like him. You know what I'm saying in this game, and that, like you said, I like the Rams too. You know, so
Yeah. And then also one more thing about that game, especially if the Rams can come out, present the running game, and be truthful to it.
mhm.
And be truthful to it, I mean, stick with it.
Yeah,
Don't just be a typical team that does it. There's a lot of passing teams that passively come out and run the football just because they feel like it's a chore. Yeah, it's the first quarter. Let's run the ball a little bit, establish the physicality, blah, 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 blah. Then we can get to throwing the football. And I
yeah,
think that's where the Rams kind of get into a little funk offensively for them. I see them go through some drives where it's like, okay, 3 and out, 5 and out,
uh-huh.
5 and out, 3 and out.
Yeah,
Okay, it's because you got Cooper Cup out there, you got Puka Nakua, you got Stafford's right arm. So I get it. You want to throw the football around, but if they can establish the run and stick to it, you can run the ball on the Eagles now. That's one thing they can do. They can run the ball on the Eagles. But other than that, you're talking about Stafford and his wide receivers versus a young Philadelphia Eagles secondary that's been playing really well. Quinyon Mitchell, right now he's looking like defensive rookie of the year. Uh, what's my name? Cooper, old boy named Cooper DeJean. He
yeah.
started slow. Cooper's been a lot better as well. So, they got some talent over there, but I think the Rams at home in the night game, I don't know how big of it an home field advantage LA is, given the fact that they don't really care about any of their sports teams, but
Uh-huh.
it may be more Eagles fans there
Yeah.
actually than Rams fans, because those Eagles fans travel too. But yeah,
Uh,
I definitely would take the Rams. It's still close because if the Eagles won this game, nobody would be surprised
no, of course
at
not.
all.
Yeah.
But I think that the Rams can apply a little bit more offensive pressure than the Eagles can.
Yeah, Jared Verse, you was talking about, Jared Verse is a guy that could be up for defensive rookie of the year, man. I think he got like 8 sacks or something. Jared Verse been tremendous, man. You know what I'm saying, as
Yeah.
a rookie. So, yeah, I do. It's going to be a good game, but I think there's going to be a lot of good games on the schedule, but I just want to pick those two because they had playoff implications. And, that's what we do here, try to bring, the best, stat wise, or, when you're talking about said team. So,
Yeah.
well, and if we had to put a bow on this show today, man, I think it was, uh, just, the way, the Lions, have went about their business the last 3 weeks, man, too, especially from, the Houston Texans game to last week, it just shows you, how much, these guys are focused. I kind of thought it was a trap letdown game last week, you know what I'm saying? And I think, the commenters our listeners been kind of saying it. Dan Campbell don't allow that, man. You know what I'm saying? This team you don't have to worry about a letdown. I don't think that these guys are even wired like that. You know what I'm saying? I just
Because they're
think
not
that,
quitters.
yeah, they
That
just,
that's the whole thing. If you punch us in the mouth, we're not gonna just turn around and walk back in the house and chill to turn the TV on.
yeah,
Like we gonna
yeah.
we gonna punch back, and we gonna keep punching, and we gonna keep punching. That's what happened against Houston. A
Mhm.
lesser team would have fell behind the Houston
And
23-7 and would have lost
they lost that game.
40 to 10 or something
Yep.
like that.
Yep. And it could have been very easy for us to just say, you know what? At that time we were 7-1 to go say, hey, this a loss. We 7-2. We still in control. You know what I'm saying? We could have easily done that, Walt.
Yeah.
Rest some guys, don't play in
Just
the
not
fourth
our night,
quarter.
fellas, in the
It's just
second
not our
quarter.
night.
That's
But they,
loser talk. That
yeah.
to me, that's when people were saying that's loser talk, man. Who
Mhm.
quits in the second quarter of a game though?
Yeah.
And I hate when I
I've
hear
seen it
fans throw
happen.
that out there though. Oh, I've seen no. There were Lion content creators talking about at halftime. Oh, the Lions should just pack it in, and second quarter. Oh, it's just not our night. Who the hell says that in the second quarter of a football game?
Yeah. Right.
You got to stay behind the team and realize when you got something good going on. They fell behind 23-7, but at the end of the day, we had 5 turnovers and we're only sitting in a 10-point deficit.
And last thing, yeah. And last thing, I just wanted to say, Jack Campbell. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to say anything last week. He's been tremendous, man. You know what I'm saying? He's been one of the guys that stood out for me. I obviously the offensive guys. I mentioned St. Brown. Like, we don't appreciate how good St. Brown is, but Jack Campbell, to me, he's been the one guy that's like, now I think Ant's only going to be on the shelf for 6 weeks. I think he's more than capable, of calling defense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jack, a sure tackler, runs from side to side. Like I say, he may not be the best coverage guy, but boy, he keeps everything in front of him. That's what I like about Jack. You know what I'm saying? Not flashy. He go out, he gonna hammer you though. You know what I'm saying? You get the ball. You gonna remember the game we went to? Remember we went to Seattle? He took big DJ Metcalf like a big RoboCop, and he took my man and grabbed him and drug him down, bro. That was like, I was like, man, Jack ain't out there playing around. So I just shout out to Jack Campbell.
He the silent killer, man.
Yeah.
Jack never get interviewed either.
Nah,
he's real. He seems like a lion type. He seems like they type of guy. Kind of that old. Oh, sucks. Man, I'm just here to play football. Guy.
Yeah, I don't want to talk.
Whatever they want me to do, I'm just here to play ball.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Then you let them loose out there on the field, man. I just think that before we get out of here, man, for people who didn't see it earlier in the show, y'all might have missed it, man. Are we missing Derek Barnes? Yeah, I get it. Has James Houston not worked out at off-ball linebacker the way the team wanted him to? I get that as well. We do have Malcolm Rodriguez, who is a versatile guy that's going to get in there and do everything we need him to do. Mm-hmm. We still do have Jack. I think Jack now has the opportunity to actually blossom into a potential star heading into the next season. And we do have the addition of this guy.
Yeah.
A guy who helps in pass coverage for damn sure. We can run more Tampa 2 now with him out there. And that helps Jack Campbell to not have that responsibility. Not to say that Jack Campbell can't be at least adequate in pass coverage, but David Long is an elite pass coverage linebacker. He's not a blitzer, and I get that. People want pass rush. He only has 1 career sack. But the 4 career interceptions and the 14 passes defense from a middle linebacker is crazy. That shows you right there how solid this guy is in pass coverage. And then he's only 28. And as I said earlier in the show, I want fans to understand this. Whatever went on in Miami is whatever the hell went on in Miami. He's over here now. And if it was something team-oriented that Brad Johnson and Dan Campbell looked at and said, you know what? No, we don't want that guy over here. We don't want him in our locker room. They never would have made the move. They brought him over there. And somebody brought this up in the comment section earlier about him also being team captain for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Dude left Tennessee where he was voted team captain as a special teams player that transitioned to defense playing middle linebacker. He signed with Miami and they made him team captain. So that lets you know right there, culture-wise, what type of player we have. And I understand, we didn't go out and trade for the big-time, sexy edge rusher or whatnot, but they said 2 days after Hutchinson got hurt, Dan Campbell's presser, we were looking for versatility. Zadarius Smith, not just a pure pass rusher. They can drop him. He's athletic enough. They can drop him in zones in the front 7. He can play run. He can defend the run pretty well. As I mentioned, David Long is a guy, I understand he's only 225 pounds, but he takes on not linebackers, but he takes on guards really well. He uses his leverage really well and his power, and he's able to disengage and make plays in the backfield. So they got 2 guys that one of them doesn't really help pass rush wise in David Long, but he helps you in pass defense, and he helps you in the run game for damn sure. And the other guy is Zadarius Smith. Most of his bread and butter, impact-wise, is going to be rushing the passer. But don't get it twisted. Zadarius can get out there in space and can make plays also on the boundary. So they ultimately got exactly what you said, and I agree 100% at the beginning of the show. They got what fit. Was it what everybody else felt should have been household names or whatnot? They got what they needed help wise, and they managed to keep their draft picks. That's the key thing, man. So lay off Brad Holmes, man. For everybody that every time this man, and I understand some people got reasons behind it. Every time this man don't do something y'all want him to do, the first thing these people say is, "Well, I'm done. If Brad doesn't do this, I'm done with him. If he doesn't trade for this player, I'm done with him." Lay off the man. The man got y'all 9-1 in year 4 of a rebuild, #1 seed in the NFC, and you have unquestionably overall the best football team in the league. And that, I don't even think that can really be questioned. So, all right, man, let's get ready to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for joining us once again on another Saturday morning. We hope everybody who tuned in, return listeners, return list. That shit sounds silly as hell. Return return listeners and subscribers, and everybody who's watching us for the very first time today, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We were very informative, gave y'all an hour and 41 minutes of dialogue and information. And also hope we took care of you all the betting questions you guys had. We got a short week. We got Bears coming up on Thursday, man.
Yeah.
We will be back to talk about that game. I guess either, I don't know, Wednesday. Everybody's gonna be kind of busy. I think Wednesday night getting prepped. We may want to probably do it Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, to give us a day to prepare after tomorrow. So
yeah, because I know Wednesday pre-Thanksgiving is gonna be kind of rough at everybody's house.
yeah,
It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be pots cooking.
Yeah,
kitchen windows steaming up.
yeah. Drink.
So,
yeah, so
drinks flowing.
drinks flowing. At least in my house, it will be. I say that. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us this Saturday. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. One Pride.